All right, hey guys, Sam here with you. It's Wednesday, what are we, December 12th here. Oh, it's midday. I'm a little late getting to these. I thought we'd try something different today. Any of you TradingView users saw that they've just recently added total market cap as one of their choices. So here the ticker is total, just total. So we have a couple of things to look at today. I thought it might be interesting to look at total market cap and then total market cap minus Bitcoin. So we have both of those. So if I can get this done in one video, I think we might be able to do that. So interesting. Now this was a very difficult count to get clarity on because of some of the, well, of course, the idea being that we stay consistent with the Elliott rule set. So that required some work going through this. I do think, having worked through that, we have just a very, very simple A, B, C going in. So what have we got? A 4 hour? Let's go all the way to the daily here, and we can open it up. So here's total market cap for the crypto space. Go back here. So it looks like ABC, but it would appear that, of course, this is going to look very much like Bitcoin. It would appear that there's one more leg down. Now we're already tapping. Well, we got one left. We're tapping these prior resistance points. So you're running out of pivots. So with this one's starting to look interesting. This might resolve us here. So just working through this, I think you can make a fairly strong case for a leading diagonal coming into this A wave. It's got everything we want to see. It's technical. Oh, so we had this one here. So coming down, if this is the correctly identified as the 1, we go 50 to the 618, sweet spot for the 2, boom, right to algo target. Then if we come for the 3 to the 4, all right, so we know we're looking for the 4 here. Excuse me. Relative, we're looking for the 50 if we've got a diagonal. All right, so we get slight front run here. That could be we've got a front run. But then now we've just gone to and through that target. So then you kind of got to look at this and do a little bit of trial and error. Now that's kind of interesting. So if this is the A and this is the B, well, look what we've just done. We've just tagged to the tick on market cap the algo target. So you look and you go, well, that seems a bit odd here. So this too far for a front run. So then you got to look at it. It's always a question. What did they use? Did they use the 2? Well, now we're right to the 618. Is that what they used? Right? It was one of these pivots. Now that we're to the 65. It's just a judgment. It's hard to know what they've used, right? So, but we know this is technical. Whether we're using this one here and it's a front run on the 50, we're going all the way. Yeah, it's a bit of a judgment call here. So then you got to dig into the count and say, well, would that make sense? If this is a B, well, we're shallow for a B, no question about it. So remember, algo doesn't care about the Elliott count. So we're looking at this going, oh, well, okay, dominant swing high, swing low. First, there's this one. Do we have a situation here where an algo, this is a front run, they don't get there, and eventually they just stay short until they get it? Did they adapt? Right? We have no way of knowing. Right? All we can do is try and identify what they did last. So it's either this, and we've just tagged it. It's unreal. Look at that. We've just tagged it. We've just tagged the algo target from this on the assumption that what we have here is a front run on the 50. Which, when you're kind of trying to force fit it or rationalize it, it makes me a little suspicious of it. So I start working through different pivots. Could that be it? Right, 50 here. This is pretty interesting. It's right to the 618. But now 2, very small little pop, and then rolled right through it. Something else they've used, right? Where is it? It's hard to know. So with that said, so now I lean into the LA count. So if it's A, B, then we've got to finish our C down here. Well, this got to be kind of difficult to get a count that would work here. So let's see if I can get back there here. So the problem is coming off of this B. So your eye wants to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it doesn't work, right? So you got this is your real problem spot because of this 4. So this, if we're going to stay in an impulse, we can't have an overlap. If we're going to have a diagonal, we must have an overlap. So it created a bit of a problem. So I think the best solution we have here is that we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't overlap. So this has to be the one. This can't be the one because you look at it and your eye wants to go, oh, okay, well then we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, but it doesn't work. Right? It's because you have the overlap. So see, if this is the one, we've got just enough overlap to disqualify that as the 4. Right? Can't have an impulse. We got to have an impulse there. So if this is the one and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, then we get the pivot that works. So it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4 comes in, doesn't overlap, so we can hold the impulse in the third. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We get a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into finish the fifth of the third. Nice little ABC gives us the 4. Now we don't have to worry about this one. So that's long out of the picture, so we can get rid of that. So now we've got 3, 4. Well, you look and you think, okay, well, how was that? If that's the 2 and that's the 3, how do we look there? Well, right to the 38, just where you look for it. Right, what'd they do? So likely this has been realized here. So we get a reaction, but it's got more to go. So now we've just tagged and gone through the second algo target. So you might look there and think, okay, well, that target's been realized. So what else could they be working with? Well, if this is 1, 2, we want to check that. So if correctly identified, if that's the 1, and we go A, B, C, which looks much like Bitcoin, and this is the front run on the 50, well, all right, first short sell already realized, second one realized. So, I can't tell you whether algorithms are in here trading market cap. I can't tell you. But we can analyze this and say, can we get a count that works here? And could we be approaching a completed count? Well, as I look here, it looks like we've gone one. So drawing it up, it would look like this: 1, 2, 3 is going in, 4 still yet to come, and we've got to come down one more time. Which is much like the Bitcoin count. So this one will be a point of interest. Get that right on there. So this, we can take that off. So if that 2 is correctly identified, we get that. Well, we're looking for the 4, somewhere in this range between 23 and 38. And then looking to try and finish, so we get an algo target here off of that. So this was that little shelf of prior resistance that we may deal with. So all we can do is measure and say, well, if that's the 4 here, and we're going to come back to the 38, which reasonable, then we potentially are finishing the C down here. Boy, it's hard to believe, but there it is, right? So you trade what you see, not what you think. What do we think? We think we're approaching the final count, the final leg of this count. So completing. So I'm the first to acknowledge it's not a great symmetry. So now look at that, and then we look at it and go, right? A bit problematic. You certainly don't love the symmetry, but there is simply no other count that works in there. That you cannot get. I've tried it 12 different ways. There's no way to get it to work without doing some crazy stuff. So we've got to go with this symmetry with the extension now in the 5th. I got to say, I don't love it, but I cannot get a count that works, right? If you've got one that works, I'd love to see it. I can't get anything because of the overlap here. This is the problem. Now you could rationalize and say, well, we're talking about total market cap, so maybe a little overlap here we can allow for it. My experience, when you rationalize that comes back to bite you, right? So you're just going, it's inconvenient that doesn't work with my count, so I'm just going to fudge it. That's every trader's prerogative to make that decision. I would suggest to you that doing that sets up a bad habit. So I would avoid that if you can. So you can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into that 3. It works, except you have very ugly symmetry. So looking up in here, it's there. You can get a 1, 2 out of it to go 1, 2. You can see, if I open that up a little more, it's there. You can get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I got to move this over here. You have the diagonal in the 1. It's a skinny 2, but I think it gets close to the 50. Not quite to the 50. No other way to count it. So that has to be 1, 2, 1, 2 because of that little bugger right there overlapping this. So let's assume that we have this correctly identified and then think about what that means for the result. If we go all the way back out, we need to be approaching a low fairly soon. So the assumption is that next thing up, so maybe we're in the process of putting in the A wave. We get up here and then we've got one more leg down, which no telling how long that takes. But if we just think about the symmetry, we're into next year before we approach that market cap low, barring something wacky that happens. Might do something like this. Or again, I'm just freestyling this. We don't know what that's going to look like. I don't really know that I have the third in just yet. I can measure and see how that looks. So if I take this as the start of my one wave, and project from my 2 and just bring it over. Well, here's the 100, so you might think, could that be the third? That's a mighty skinny 4, so that looks much more like the subdivision is 1, 2, 3, ABC into the 4 of the 3 to give us that 3. Now, this could have another, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. There could easily be one more little drive down. I'm on a 4-hour, so if I went to a 2-hour, you see that a little bit better. I can get it to load. Well, maybe, yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can see here, this could be 3. So if we open this up, looks like you've got a reasonable case that you're in the process here of going here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, to get this to finish. So it does not look like this is done. This is still unclear. So let's do it this way here. Just right, every count, same thing, same process. So here, if this is the 1, right, 2 qualifies. So let's measure it. Start of the 1 from the 2. Where do we go for the 3? Here's our high probability zone, rips right through it, but that's not crazy. 227 ABC for the 4. 1, 2 potentially, right? So all that's happening here is now we're finishing the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got to finish the whole thing down here. So we don't know where the 3 is just yet. We don't know where any of this is yet. We're just trying to follow along with the count. That looks very corrective. So doing it this way, we can look for that 4 if this is the 2 and this is the 3, right? Sweet spot, 38.50s right there. 1, 2. Looks like we've got more work to do to finish this. To give us that, let's put that in white. Okay, and then this would have to go up a degree, so bear with me. We're almost done here. Okay, so that would be potentially the 3, the 4, and the 5 to all, we're looking at finishing that way down here. So still looks like there's more selling yet to come. Then we could finish it off here, like if that 4 is in, and we don't know that it is, so we might have to expand a little bit here. So this could be A, B, and the C is still coming. Still have that possibility because look, I mean, you've got a little A, B, C there, but this could be A, B, and C is still to come. You can't rule that out because this is unconfirmed as the low until we get clarity here. If we take out this pivot, something else is going on. If we're going to go 2 and 3, then we know that the count is likely just as we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're approaching a potential low. Hard to say because you got to put the whole thing together. So where would we be in the count? If that's finishing, if this is 1, 2, we're still trying to finish 3, 4 still yet to come, 5 still yet to come. All right, how am I on time? That's 13 minutes. Okay, well, I thought it might be interesting to compare this. So this does not look like we're finished, and this is total with including Bitcoin. Well, I thought it might be interesting to do the same thing with total without Bitcoin. So here it is. Here it is for alt lovers. All right, so if we're just getting a handle on it, and the count is very similar, it certainly looks like we've got a leading diagonal into the A. Got to allow for an A, so you'd have to trade this as A, B, C. So the extension's in the A wave, right? This is very much like Bitcoin, very much like the Bitcoin chart. So it gets same situation. What'd they use here? If that's swing high, swing low, front run, maybe. Maybe they use a lower pivot. Did they use this pivot? Now we're in the golden zone, but look, we're already to and through target. So hard, it's just there's secondary pivot. There's the 50 hitting target now. So it would imply that we're close to a low. Now, can we get a count that works here? Well, if we've gone A, B, C, we're just trying to get 5 coming down. I think there's a reasonable count. Did not have the same problems here. It's just different enough so you could go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's our 3, here's our 4. So we've got a clear impulse. Looks like an ABC into this triangle in the 4. So we can measure. So thinking if that's the 2 and that's the 3, which I think it's a pretty strong case for that. So we've come right to the 23. before we head down, and we've got a target. Right? We're approaching that target. So if we have this, right, if this is going to serve as the 4, well, can we finish that? Well, let me go down. Let's go to a 2 hour. We can dig into this final leg. That looks like 1, 2, 3 is in, 4 is in. So zooming even further, it looks like we're in the process of trying to finish this 5th. So if that's so much like the other one that included Bitcoin, if we've gone 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, looks almost the same, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That broader suggestion is that all of this technical work implies that there's at least, so if the 4 is in, or if we're going A, B, C into a different kind of 4, there's still one more drive down. Right, so that would play just as well here. If the 4 is going to come in higher and we're just going A, B, C, maybe we get a flat. We don't know what we get, right? So we don't know what we get. Could get a triangle. So 1, 2, 3. So far, there's an A. So we have potential 3, 3, 5 for a flat. Could just be that the zigzag is in, although this very much looks like just an ABC. What am I? 2 hour. Hard to get 5 out of that one. So looks very reasonable. Let's take this off. Very reasonable. We could have a flat, right? So we'll know based on that shape. But either way, either this is the 4 or the 4 is still yet to come. It's fairly simple. So you might have complexity, rule of alternation. You might get that in play here. So we'd certainly want to wick off this as our proposed 1. 1, 2, 3. That's solid. Hard to say yet. All I know is I certainly don't see a motive wave. That's for sure. Something corrective is underway. Now, can we get 5 coming up here? Not unreasonable. So where do we start to lose confidence in that count? Well, if we get, if we were trying to play this as the 4 coming in beyond the 65, now the probability is reduced. Maybe we get some sort of a diagonal, but this is where I'd be looking for it. And note the Vegas wave right there as well. And we got a little structure. So prior pivot, maybe that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 3, or this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 still not in. Possible. No way to know based on where we're sitting here, other than the odds would favor at least one more move down. All right, guys, that's what I see. Kind of interesting to do the total market cap and see how it plays with our Elliott rule set. Can we qualify, quantify, organize it? That's always the benefit here. Always the benefit. Wave counts are changing constantly. It's not, the idea is not that you get a count on there and then that's it. All right, you don't adapt. Of course you adapt. All right, we're just literally, you're like trying to surf these waves, and think of it like a surfer, right? No 2 waves are the same. You got to adjust. But there's very, very, very rarely can you not get a count if you dig through it and work through it enough. Right, so that's what I see. Looks like this is definitely, thought would be an alert on those targets, right? As you get a little double target here. So certainly we've got a nice confluence zone right down here. So, you get the idea. Right, so right down here, I'd be paying attention. I'd want to know if we go back down there and we tag that. Now, how do you play that? Well, that's total market cap. A bull is a bull. So if the total market cap is going to start to increase, then it gets interesting. Then you might do a little back and forth comparing how this count compares to the count including Bitcoin or to individual crypto charts, whether that be Bitcoin or any of the majors. Right? See who's teed up to outpace Bitcoin if Bitcoin's going to roll with this. Right? So no easy answers, but this coming down, odds are we are not done yet. All right, guys, I'll call that a wrap. And what is today? Wednesday. All right, we'll back tomorrow with some traditional assets. And if you've got an alternate count, fire it up. Show it to us on Twitter or post it underneath here on YouTube if you're not a member and you're just watching on YouTube. We're always curious to see. I'm always interested. Every now and then I'll see something like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that, right? Which is always nice to see. So creativity, you do have the opportunity to be creative in how we approach these counts, but you got to stick to the rule set, right? That's always the challenge. All right, guys, have a good one.